Alright kids, you can see my quilt a little bit. My homeland, it's the Battleship New Jersey. I don't know if you can see that part. That's when I was in the Caribbean over here, right here. Basically it's my military quilt. This is when I was working in the food service. It's my military quilt when I was in the Navy. It got made for me. I don't know if I showed that in the video before. I've been doing these last 2 weeks in my, I call it my study room, my den. This is my crash area where I sleep. Alright, so I just wanted to show you the quilt. Here we go. Alright. We the people. Alright. First I'm going to read the inside of this book. It's Hakeem Jefferies, The ABCs of Democracy. Alright. And then here's the back cover. I'll be reading the back cover here later. I'm going to read the inside part first. Then I'm going to talk about our current democracy. Today's lesson is about democracy. So it's not just going to be a read, but it's also going to be a study, a little bit of politics. The ABCs of democracy, that's the front. Oh, that was my tag when I got the book. But this is my front cover, the inside cover. To my parents for nurturing me, for my family for strengthening me, for my community for supporting me. Let me read that again. To my parents for nurturing me, for my family for strengthening me, for my community for supporting me. Hakeem Jefferies. The ABCs of Democracy. You see the part of that. Alright, I'm going to read this part first, the introduction first. Then I'm going to go through my pocket constitution. Alright. On the last day of November of 2022, House Democrats gathered on Capitol Hill to elevate a new leadership team during a fragile moment in the nation's history. This is history I don't want to be erased, right? Earlier that month, we had nearly lost control of the House of Representatives. After dramatically overperforming expectations, shortly thereafter, Speaker Nancy Pelosi announced that she was stepping down from leadership after legendary 20 years of the helm. The responsibility would fall to a new generation of public servants to lead House Democrats into the future, which became him, Hakeem Jefferies. I had the honor of being unanimously elected by my colleagues as the incoming House Minority Leader. 98 years to the day, the late great Shirley Chisholm, a congresswoman from his town, was born in Brooklyn, only in America. The new Congress began in early January, approximately 2 years after former president, who's now the president again, sadly, had incited a violent insurrectionist mob to attack the Capitol. He incited a violent insurrectionist mob to attack the Capitol, part of a disgraceful effort to halt the peaceful transfer of power. As Minority Leader, I would be the first member to address the entire body before handing over the gavel to the incoming Speaker of the House. Our country is in the midst of an identity crisis, with many turning their backs on the traditional values and institutions that have made the United States the greatest democracy in the history of the world. Nearly 250 years. This year is actually 249 years. Next year is the 250th birthday of the United States, when we got a Constitution and was got our independence from the tyranny of King George. Right? We have overcome countless challenges in this country, including slavery, the Civil War, the Jim Crow laws. The Jim Crow laws was segregation laws. Blacks on one side, whites on the other side. They couldn't enter the same place in the building. They had to sit at different places. It was wrong. It was completely wrong. Okay. The Great Depression of the 1920s and 2 world wars. Right? Yet no new obstacles have emerged as part of the enduring march toward a more perfect union. Unquestionably, we have a powerful military that will continue to serve as an arsenal for democracy, as once envisioned by President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR. But military might alone is insufficient. We are not free simply because we are strong. We are strong because we are free. We are not free simply because we are strong. We are strong because we are free. That freedom and the very strength that flows from it is now at risk. America is at a fork in the road. Which direction will we choose? Tyranny? Hate? Those things are wrong, kids. Those things are wrong. Or do we choose democracy? Kindness. Against the backdrop of uncertainty, I appeared before the House of Representatives at 12:57 a.m. on Saturday, January 7, 2023. The first African American in history to ever hold this position. King Jefferies is the first African American to hold leadership in the House. Right? How many standing at the shoulders of giants like Barbara Jordan and John Lewis? I delivered the opening speech of the 118th Congress. In that moment, there was an urgent need to speak with clarity about the existential stakes facing the nation. America can now follow the path of enlightenment or succumb to the forces that galvanize the ugly underbelly of any society. What better way to present the critical choice a country confronts? I conclude that to view it through the elegant lens of the alphabet. This book animates my remarks and uses the power of illustration to provide a blueprint for a brighter day. America is indeed a resilient nation. And this is why this book has got the ABCs of democracy. He's going to illustrate what he said in that speech in this book. We're actually going to get back to that later.
The
flexible as I used to be. I'm 60 years old, and this can be a little hard on me now. All right. A little history that I know you kids know. I know you kids, most kids know the history. In grade school, we learned the history of the United States. Right? I hope they're still teaching that in grade school. All right. In 1776, we gained our independence from King George. From King George. And the Declaration of Independence was written. Alright? In 1781, this was ratified, the Constitution of the United States of America. Then in 1792, the Bill of Rights, which is the first 10 amendments of the Constitution of the United States, were added. The Bill of Rights are the first 10 amendments. There are exactly 26 amendments in the United States Constitution. 26 amendments. I know this. I used to carry this in my pocket with a real book. A real book's a little small notebook you put in your pocket to write notes on. When I was in the Navy, I served nearly 26 years, 25.8 years, 28 months. But I rounded up to 26 years. Nearly 26 years I served in the Navy. I'm proud of this country. But it's hard to be proud when we have now tyranny and hate and division. But the president, I'm going to say this, kids, but the president has 34 felonies. 34 felonies. He grips on people, which means he takes advantage of people through his products. You're not supposed to enrich yourself as a president. That's actually unconstitutional. But he does. He has broken many laws, kids. He has broken many laws. And that is not right. He should actually be in prison for inciting the insurrectionist attack on our capital on that dreadful January day. He should be. It's shameful, okay? It's shameful. One day you kids are going to understand. Maybe one of you kids will be in Congress or in the Senate. Maybe even vice president or president one day. And you'll understand what I'm saying. And you're going to look back and say, whoa, these are the moments in history that we don't want to relive. That we don't want to relive. Alright, I'm going to get to this book now. Alright kids, I'm back. Let me see my shirt. It says Washington Elementary, Go Patriots. I wore this because one, it's the colors, patriotic colors. Two, it's the elementary school that I used to tutor at back in my hometown. I was a tutor for quite a while. I like teaching. I like passing on knowledge to others. And that's one of the reasons why I do these children's times. I was also taught art classes. I taught karate classes to kids, and what was it? English as a second language teacher. And I know I do sometimes mumble a little bit. Anyway, let's get on with this. I'm gonna need back on my pillow. I got Duncan the Dragon. I had him ever since I was a little kid. And then I got, he always watches over me. He's powerful. He's a dragon. He's flying. I don't have a tiger. A tiger is one of my favorite animals. But I do have this cat. Somebody bought me as a gift just because I served my country. And she wanted to thank me for my service, and she bought this for me. Somebody that was at a store when I was waiting for a vaccine. Walgreens. Alright, I've had the introduction. Now we're going to talk about what he said in the speech. And I showed you this page, but look, freedom of the press. That's part of the first 10 amendments. You know. Let me read this, and I'm going to go back to this and tell you about the first 10 amendments, okay, and what they are. So we're going to do a little bit of back and forth here. American values over autocracy. Autocracy is basically what Trump is doing right now. It's like being a dictator, like he is. Thinking only about himself. Doing things to better himself instead of the country. And making people try to follow him, you know, do lying pathologically. I know these are hard words for kids to understand, but he lies a lot, and people follow him because of those lies. So we don't want that autocracy. Hopefully the next administration, hopefully the next president that comes in is going to bring America back the way it was going. Under Biden, under Obama, under Clinton, I mean even under Bush. All presidents followed the Constitution except the current president. Matter of fact, that's one of the things here, that's the C one. Benevolence over bigotry. Bigotry and hate. We don't like to use those words, kids, because they're bad. Those are bad things. So be benevolent. Be understanding. Be kind. Right? You see this? The picture shows what. Actually, did I show you the other picture? The other one had the American flag. I like that one. And what the picture shows what being benevolent is. See how like everybody's helping each other? That's what we want. That's what we want. That's what people want. Be kind. Help each other. That's what Christian values are. That's what Christian values are. Right? And the Constitution over the cult. Here's the Constitution. Here's my Constitution. We're going to talk about the Constitution. Democracy over demagogue. Yes, this country's a democracy. People are going to tell you, you guys are kids. But people are going to tell you, this country's not a democracy. We're a republic. True, on both facts. There's a type of state. There's basically two types of state. When countries are founded. Republics or monarchs. Alright? That's the types of states. Basically. And there's several types of government. A government is a democracy. We vote. That's a democracy. We the people control the government. That's what it's supposed to be. That's a democracy. A government is a democracy. There's other types of the government, like where it's coming now. Autocracy or dictatorship. And the Trump. Do as I say, not as I do type thing. And that's the way we don't want for this country. Right? Economic, that's money. Opportunity. So we want to have opportunities of extremism. We don't want the extremists. We don't want the hate going too far. And that can work on both sides, going too far left, going too far right, being extreme. You don't want to be extreme, kids. Alright? Freedom over fascism. So here it is. So the ladies following the money bank, the piggy bank, kind of cool. You know, so we want that opportunity. All Americans want that opportunity. Right? And then we want the freedom. Fascism. I have a master's in sociology, and I learn about these things. And because it's hard for me to say it for children to understand it. But when you're somebody that's only for you, everything revolves around you instead of the people around you. That's being fascist. And you don't want to do that. You want to be involved with others, not just you. Governing, leading the people. People control the government, but they also lead. The government also leads the people. They want to lead them to the right direction. People need things. You know, we need housing, we need food, we need opportunities. So that's what we want. We want governing over gaslighting. Gaslighting I was talking about earlier when Trump is selling all these items to enrich himself. He needs to be more governing. Hopefulness over hatred. We want to have hope, not hatred. Don't hate people because they're black. Don't hate people because of Indian or Asian or Muslim or Jew. It's wrong. Hating people is wrong. Even the Bible says it's wrong. Jesus loved all people. In this country, all people belong here. We are a country of immigrants. I think there's one of the I words is not immigrants, but we are a country of immigrants. This country is built on immigrants. When the immigrants came here during the Industrial Revolution, the age where they built the skyscrapers and all that, in the late 1800s. It was mostly the Irish that came. So the Irish built this country. And don't forget the slaves, the black slaves. Sadly, we had slavery in this country. And that's shameful. That's a shameful history. But we don't want to forget that history. Inclusion. We all want to be included in things over isolation. We don't want to just be isolated and alone. Here's the other two. Justice over judicial outreach. True justice. All men are created equal, as the Constitution says, right? So true justice belongs to everybody. Everybody needs to be treated fairly in law. The big gavel. Knowledge over what he called the kangaroo courts. So knowing, being knowledge, studying, learning things like the Constitution, learning things like the Bill of Rights, learning things about the history of America, having that knowledge. Liberty over limitation. We don't want to be limited on what we can do, or what we can accomplish. We don't want to be held back. They put the chains on the Statue of Liberty, and then there's the knowledge that people read in the books. Maturity over Mar-a-Lago. Mar-a-Lago is a place where Trump goes, but we all want to be mature. Yes, I do talk about being a child at heart. Gotta have fun too. But there's times that you have to kind of like step up, kids. You know. Normalcy over negativity. Don't be negative. Don't put yourself down. Opportunity over obstruction. And then people over politics. Like I said, the people, we are the nation. Seeing the opportunity in the building that bridge. Quality of life issues over QAnon. Reason over racism. Substance over slander. So reason. Learn how to reason with each other, get along with each other. Don't be hateful, don't be racist. Alright? Substance over slander. Slander is when you put another person down. When you lie about another person. Don't lie about another person. Triumph over tyranny. When I was talking about King George. Understanding over ugliness, voting rights over voting suppression. Working families over well-connected. Almost done here. Xeno over xenophobia. Yes, we can over we can do it. I'm not sure what xeno means. I don't know everything, kids. And zealous representation over zero-sum confrontation. There's the back page. And the inside. I'll read the back in a minute. Alright, kids, I had to take a breather. Okay. The back page. Making barriers of autocracy, benevolence over bigotry. So began the rousing final of the first floor speech delivered by Congressman Hakeem Jefferies upon this historic elevation as House Democratic leader, affirming the barriers of a great country, one letter of the alphabet at a time. Right? Hakeem Jefferies represents the 8th Congressional District of New York City and is serving the 6th term in the United States Congress. He is the House Democratic leader, having been unanimously elected in that position by his colleagues in November of 2022. Congressman Jefferies previously served as chair of the House Democratic Caucus and as an impeachment management during the first Senate trial of the 45th President of the United States. He should have been impeached and he should have enacted the 25th or the 14th Amendment so he could never hold office again. That's what they should have done to Donald J. Trump. That's what they should have done to Donald J. Trump. Right? He was born in Brooklyn Hospital, raised in Crown Heights, grew up in the Cornerstone Baptist Church, and is product of New York's public school system. Having a graduate from Midwood High School, he lives in Brooklyn with his family. He is an avid Knicks fan and continues to enjoy music from the classical era. Alright, that's the back page. Alright. It's nice to hear right here, kids. Here we go. Like you can see, the Constitution is long. There's 7 articles. There's 7 articles of the Constitution. This was the original, right, until 1792. In 1792, they had the amendments. Right. Well, I stand corrected, my friends. I stand corrected. I'm a year off. It says 1791 in here. First amendment was 1791. I was a year off. I apologize. You gotta remember, they enacted them, and then they were ratified, and they were put in the Constitution of 1792. But they convened in 1791 to do the articles of the first 10 amendments. Alright, so here we go. First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or provision of freedom of the speech, press, or the right of the peaceful assembly of the people, and to petition the government to redress their grievances. So, speech, the freedom of speech, press, and religion, basically, is the First Amendment. Because we do have the right to assemble and protest the government. We have the right to protest. Second Amendment, I know by heart. I know a lot of these. I guess I used to carry this. A well-regulated militia for the necessity of a free state. Alright? The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Everybody is always talking about the Second Amendment. We have the right for these automatic weapons and all this. Well, I felt bad. I tutored you guys. I had to do mass shooting drills when I was a tutor. Drills. Automatic desk and stuff. Everybody that owns a firearm should be well regulated. Everybody that owns a firearm should have a background check. Everybody that owns a firearm should be trained how to use it. Everybody that owns a firearm actually, I did this thing. Should have the mental capacity is what I was actually going to say too. And no military style weapons should ever be on the streets to me. And that's my view, kids. No military style weapons. No AR-15s, no AK-47s, no M16s, M14s. I fired some of that stuff in the military. Alright? Mass shooting is wrong, kids. The Second Amendment, first word is well regulated. Alright? Third Amendment, no soldier shall in time of peace be quartered in any home without the consent of the owner. But in time of war, in the manner as prescribed by law. So, it doesn't really happen anymore, but it used to be during the wars of those days. They can take a house and say, this is going to use this for a medical station. We're going to use your home for these soldiers, or we're going to use your home for to store these items or whatever. Time of war you can do that. Time of peace you can't. Right? Alright, I'm not going to read the entire amendments on the 4th and 5th because it's really long, but I'm going to tell you what they're about, okay? 4th Amendment is against unreasonable search and seizure. Say somebody commits a crime, does a bad thing, right? Or they get stopped by a cop, a traffic stop, okay? And say I have something bad, like I don't know, like a big knife or something, okay? It's sitting on the other seat. Sorry. And the cop stops and says, there's been an incident in the area. We're looking for, suspects. And they see this knife on my seat. They can grab that knife. But they can't search past that. They can't search past that. Because they already found what they were looking for. Right? The Fifth Amendment. Here it is. I'm going to read this part. No person shall be subject for the same difference be twice put in jeopardy. So no double jeopardy. You probably heard that term. Of life or limb. Right? Cannot be a witness against yourself. They can't force you to testify against yourself. Alright? Alright. You probably been hearing on the news the due process of law, but that's what the Fifth Amendment talks about. Without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use for just compensation. So no person can be tried or just be found guilty without the due process of law, like they're doing right now with the migrants or the so-called illegals, which is actually a civil crime, by the way. Civil crime, which means it's a fine. It's going to fine. It's not a federal crime. Alright? And Biden was trying to get those people and Obama a path towards citizenship. I don't know if you heard of the bipartisan border bill, but that would have gave them a path towards citizenship. But now they're getting transported without due process of law. And that's against the Fifth Amendment. These are the laws that Trump and his regime, I'm going to call it the regime, is breaking. In all criminal prosecutions, Sixth Amendment, the accused, so you say I'm accused of a crime, I have the right for a fair, just, and speedy trial. That's what the Sixth Amendment talks about. A fair, just, and speedy trial. Number the fifth is due process of law. And the fourth is no unreasonable search or seizure. Alright. The seventh talks about common law, the old British rule of law, and so we have the right for the trial by jury shall be preserved, right? And if you are all tried by jury, not found guilty, cannot be re-examined and tried again. According to the rules of the common law, right? The Eighth Amendment, there should be no excessive bail, so no large amounts of money to get a person out of jail. It has to be reasonable according to whatever crime they committed, right? The Ninth Amendment, you cannot deny a right to a person, cannot take away a right to a person, period. I mean, it pretty much says that, period. Alright? Like they're doing with these migrants. They're taking away their rights for no reason. And then the 10th Amendment. Certain powers are reserved to the state. Right? Talks about powers reserved to the state. So you have your state law, you have federal law. You know, federal law, because we have three branches of government. We're supposed to have 3 branches of government. Okay? You got the executive branch, the president is. You got the judicial branch. Alright. And then you got pretty much Congress. And Congress includes the Senate. Alright. 3 equal branches of government. And they're all supposed to work separately from each other. So certain things enacted by Congress, the president cannot just say, well, I don't want that. It has to go back to Congress. It has to be re-voted on. Alright, well, you guys have an understanding of the Constitution. I don't want to drag this on, kids. I know this probably got a little confusing, but I hope that some of the older kids, they learn something. And maybe the younger kids, maybe they learn something. Hopefully you guys learn something too. I tried to break it down the best I could. I hope you guys had a great 4th of July, and I'll see you in the next Children's Time. Take care. God bless.